We all tell stories. It's just what we do. But have you ever really stopped to think about who's in charge when you tell one? I mean, are you telling the story, or is the story in some way telling you? That's what we're going to dig into today, that incredible invisible dance between us and our narratives.
So let's kick things off with this incredible term, a griot. In Western Africa, a griot wasn't just some entertainer. Nope, they were the living, breathing library of an entire people's history, their identity. It's a powerful reminder that stories have never just been for fun, they're fundamental to who we are. And that really gets to the heart of what we're exploring together. Is storytelling something we do on purpose? A tool we pick up and use? Or is it something deeper, a current that pulls us along? Let's unpack that.
First, we're going to dive into what our source material calls the storyteller's dilemma. And it really is a fascinating puzzle about our true relationship with the stories that shape our lives.
Okay, so let's start with the side that probably feels the most obvious, the idea that we are firmly in the driver's seat. This is all about how we consciously and deliberately choose which stories to tell to get a certain result. And usually, when we do this, it boils down to one of two big reasons. First, persuasion, right? You find that perfect little story to make a big idea click for someone. And second, there's connection. Just think about when a friend is having a hard time. What do? We dig through our own experiences to find a story that says, hey, I get it, you're not alone.
That all seems pretty simple, doesn't it? We're in total control. But what if that's only half the picture? This question right here is our pivot point, where we shift from thinking about our own choices to a much more powerful and kind of strange idea.
So now, let's flip the script. Let's explore this other idea, that our stories are an unconscious expression of who we are. This is where things get interesting, because maybe the narrative is the one in charge, not us.
The core idea here is that each of us has this one defining narrative that we just keep coming back to again and again. And why? Because it isn't just a story. It's woven into the very fabric of our identity. That's why it's so hard to tell our most important stories without bias. That deep personal connection is exactly what makes them so unforgettable and so powerful in the first place.
Okay, so does that mean every single thing we say is some deep reflection of our soul? Well, not exactly. There's what you might call an exception to the rule. All those simple little stories we tell every single day.
I mean, let's be real. Not every story carries that much weight. When you tell your coworker what you did over the weekend, that's just recalling facts. These little daily stories can be told without much bias. A lot of the time, they're just filling the quiet space in a conversation. But here's the kicker. Even these small, everyday tales can accidentally become a doorway to those bigger, deeper, defining narratives.
All right, so we've got these two ideas pushing against each other. On one hand, we choose our stories. On the other, it feels like a core story chooses us. So how do we solve this? Let's bring it all together.
And here's the answer. It's a paradox. It's not one or the other. It's both, happening all the time. Think of it like a two-way street. We are actively shaping the stories we tell, but the raw material we're using is always influenced by that deeper, defining story that's a part of us. And the wild part is, the more we tell those stories, the more they reinforce and actually shape who we become.
Let's just pause on this one for a second, because it's pretty profound. This suggests that storytelling isn't just about looking backward at what happened, it's literally the act of creating our path forward. The stories we decide to own, well, those become the futures we give ourselves permission to live.
And that brings us right here to a final question I want to leave with you. We've gone from the ancient griots to the little stories we tell every day, and we've seen how complicated it all is. So take a moment and ask yourself, what's the story that truly defines you?